Hi, I'm Becky, my channel Southbank. So welcome back if you're a subscriber and welcome if you're new. Today's episode is all about my year in review, so everything that I have made over the past 12 months. Now, I'm obviously not going to share every single make with you and reel them off and go through in great detail about what it is, because otherwise we'd be here forever. Because I have made an astounding 50 garments this year. 50 whole pieces, and the majority of them are in some way or another in use in my wardrobe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert some footage of all of the garments that I've made, and then I'm going to come back and talk to you about my favourite makes, my repeated tried and true patterns, lessons that I've learned, worst makes, and the reasons why. And I felt that would be the better way of reviewing the year than to go through everything in great detail with you. So stay tuned for more. I hope you enjoyed seeing everything that I got made up in 2023. Let's talk about a couple of the repeated makes that I have made across the year. The first one that I want to talk about is the Monroe turtleneck. Now, coming into the winter months, I discovered, or not rediscovered, I knew about the pattern, but I'd never made it. And I printed it off and I made one very quickly at a sewing social and loved it that much that I then went on to make 3 more. So I've made 4 of this, and I've made them in different fabrics. And sometimes I find with repeating patterns, trying them in different fabrics is actually really nice to do. You can go through and experiment which ones you like more. And I have found, for me personally, my favourite in this is the viscose jerseys that I've made them in. But that's not to say that I don't like the knit fabrics or the cotton jerseys. I just find the drapiness of the knit, because it's a boxy, oversized fit, works really well. I can wear these to work. I can wear these at home when I'm lounging about. They're nice and comfortable and warm, but I can also wear these with a pair of jeans when I'm going out. They're just really, really comfortable. So I have 4 of these. I have in mind ones that I would like to make going into next year, but I would also like to kind of hack the ones going into next year. I'm thinking that going into next year, it would be really nice to extend and lengthen the pattern. So you can wear them with a pair of leggings maybe. So extend them down so they come over the bottom, because if I'm wearing leggings, I like something to come over the bottom. I think that would look really, really nice. Why is it when you start filming, you always get an itchy nose? So yeah, that's the Monroe turtleneck. The other repeated pattern for me this year has been the Zadie jumpsuit. I've made a couple of those this year. That's been more through discovery of trying to get the sizing absolutely perfect. And whilst I love all versions that I have made, I think the final version is the best fit for me, because I've done the sway back adjustment after consulting with people at my sewing social. Now, Adele makes a massive difference. I learn from her quite a lot, who is Sew for Serenity here on YouTube. She has done sway back adjustments herself, and I have found that I am learning quite a bit when she does her adjustments and then suggests them to me. I'm a little resistant to them at first, but then I very much learn that actually that is what I need to do, and she'll show me how to do them. The same as with the sewing socials, the guys there, all of them are quite happy to get involved, and they do the fit with you. It's just a fantastic experience of somebody else seeing something that you don't when you try it on, and what you need to do to perfect that fit. So yeah, highly recommend a social if you've not been to one. So Zadie jumpsuit, I finally feel I've got it right. My Christmas one by far was the best fit, but I do have a preference, but we'll come back to that later. The other thing that I made a couple of times this year was the Davenport dress by Friday Pattern Company. I find that this is an incredibly versatile dress in my wardrobe. It's one that I can wear to work, but equally is one that I can wear out with friends, going up to the pub and socialising, going to social events like Sew Brum, for example. It's just a very versatile garment, and because of the fact that you can make it in light viscose fabric, which is the way I prefer to make it in a drapey fabric, it tends to be multi-seasonal depending on the fabric that you pick as well. So it's not just one that comes out in the winter or in the summer. So it's one of the advantages of this pattern, which I think is why it has been a repeat make in my wardrobe. Another pattern that's been repeatedly made in my wardrobe is the Anna Allen Pomona pants. These are very comfortable elasticated pants. Now there's different versions to them. I've made shorts this year. I've also made a couple of pairs of the wide leg. And I do feel that these are, again, quite a versatile thing, because you can wear them casually, but you can also wear them to work because of the wide leg. They're quite smart. But they're really nice because they're an elasticated waist, so they are very comfortable. So that's it for the repeated patterns that I'm going to talk about, because I feel they're the ones that I've been drawn back to. Actually, that's not true. The Southbank sweater is the final one. I had a whole Southbank Saturday thing going on. Southbank sweater is one that I have made time and time again. I discovered it at the beginning of the year. I made a couple at the beginning of the year, and coming into the back end of the year, I've made a few more. My preference is the dress, although I have made both versions of the top as well. The crop top I have made to go under some pinafores, but I'm still not sure on it because it's cropped and I don't really feel comfortable with my body shape in cropped clothes. But I have worn it under a pinafore. It's not sitting there not getting the wear, because I have made it in a very beautiful dark green cozy colours fabric, which is just, you know, divine to wear. So yeah, I will get the wear out of it, but it's not my favourite to go back to. The dress version is my favourite to go back to, but the more I've made, the more I've lengthened them, because I find with tights the material tends to ride up quite a bit, but it is a tried and true. Now, whether my favourite is Billie or Southbank is still undecided. I like both of them quite a bit, and there does seem to be this ongoing battle out there, whether it's Billie or Southbank. Billie by Tilly and the Buttons or Southbank by Nina Lee Patterns. Let me know your preference in the comments below. So they're the tried and trues and repeated patterns that I've made this year. But what about favourites? Well, we'll talk about your favourites first. And when I say your favourites, these are ones that I've had high engagement levels with over on Instagram. And then we'll compare them to my favourites. So let's talk about the Davenport dress, because I've had quite a lot of engagement on Instagram with this, particularly my red one made in the fabric from Textiles Express. This is the one that I ended up doing in collaboration with the lovely Laura, who was the Carpe Diem stitcher and is now Laura Sews or Laura Sews. I'll link her channel down below so you can go and check her out if you don't know who she is. So yeah, this particular one I've had quite a lot of engagement from you guys on, and it actually falls into the category of one of my most worn pieces, but you guys seem to love it too. Now I do wear red quite well, and I think that might have something to do with why I'm drawn to it so much, but also the fact that I can wear it for multiple occasions. But I don't know why you guys are. Let me know below. But yeah, again, this one seems to be one of your favourites. Another favourite of yours, which is by far favourite above any of the others, it's had the most likes, the most engagement on the post, and it is a Tilly and the Buttons indigo dress that I made in this gorgeous cotton lawn that I got from Sew Me Something. Now, ironically, this is probably my least worn dress. I made this to go to a sewing social, my very first attendance to the Staffordshire social, which is why it's memorable to me. And I knew making an indigo in cotton lawn would be a bit of a and ah moment for me, because I really don't like structured fabrics. My preference every time is a drapey fabric. I believe there are some patterns that really suit cotton lawns, cotton poplins, but I believe that there are some patterns that just look so much better in a viscose. And I think the indigo pattern, my preference is definitely to have it in a viscose, but for some reason you guys absolutely love this version. But I think it's worth noting what you guys love and what I actually reach for and wear in my wardrobe. I think I've worn this probably once or twice throughout the year. It definitely isn't one that's in continuous rotation. It's always hanging in there, but it's not one that's in continuous rotation. Now, another dress that you guys seem to really like was my Fibre Mood Jill dress. Now, this was, of course, the one that I made and wore to the dressmaker's ball. I made this in a gorgeous pink crepeback satin that I got from Rainbow Fabrics. Now, I love this dress. It was definitely a more complex make for me, although it looks quite simple. The facings at the back was quite a difficult construction. Outside of that, the rest of it was quite simple. And I really loved wearing it. But obviously I made this for a special occasion. I doubt there'll be very many opportunities for me to wear this again. The fabric was quite inexpensive from Rainbow Fabrics. I got it in the sale. It was about £20 for the amount of fabric that I needed for the entire dress. And I do think it definitely looks worth more than £20. But I love this dress. It was a memorable night with some memorable friends. And yeah, I can see why you guys like it so much too. The other item that you guys seem to love over on Instagram is actually one of my favourite makes. But going back to me trying to find my fit that's correct from the Zadie jumpsuit, this is one that I sized down on but hadn't made a sway back adjustment. So the fit isn't perfect, but this is one of my most worn makes. And this is the one that I made for So Yellow for Endo. And it's in a Lady McElroy fabric. And I absolutely love it. It's in a cotton lawn. Now this is one that I actually quite like the look of a cotton lawn make, because I've made the Zadie in viscose. I do prefer a Zadie in viscose. However, for some reason, I absolutely love this. And I don't know whether it's because of the fabric, and I adore the fabric. And with me, we know that I am drawn to a print with bright colours on it. So it's very possible that the fabric is the reason why I love this. But I do love it, and it is probably one of my most worn makes throughout the year. If I can get a chance to put it on, I will do. Obviously, we're in the winter months now, and it is cropped leg. So although I can layer it with a turtleneck, I'm not so sure that I would put tights on with it too. I just think that would look a bit odd. So it's not getting much wear at the moment, but will come back out as soon as the weather picks up. So there's some of the makes that I absolutely love across the year. I've got some that I live in. I mean, I live in my Monroe turtlenecks. I live in my Stella jogger set that I made with Tilly and the Buttons right at the beginning of the year in my Cozy Colours fabric. And I'll pop a picture in so you can just refer back to the one that I am particularly talking about. There, because I'm at home a lot when I'm working from home. I work from home 3 days a week. Obviously, I'm usually about the weekends unless I've got socials to attend to. So I do tend to live in some of the more comfier dressed down clothes that certainly look okay from the top upwards. But yeah, I do live in joggers, or, you know, my Monroe turtlenecks work really well with a pair of joggers. I can get away with it when I'm at home. So they get worn quite a bit as well. The times that I get to wear my more extravagant makes are for my, well, they're not extravagant, but things like I'm wearing today, this Wilder gown, for example, is when I would go out and meet friends, and do certain things for a social. So I've been shopping today with friends, for example, and I've thoroughly enjoyed wearing my Wilder. So let's talk about some of the makes that haven't gone that well this year. And the first one I want to talk about, which was by far my biggest disaster throughout the year, is the Tilly and the Buttons Esti. Now, this is because, quite simply, the bodice block was appalling and the pattern just did not. And there was lots of feedback in the sewing community about this. Now, I have learned a lot from this particular pattern, but the fit was terrible on me. Now, I used a cheap fabric, which I'm quite pleased about, but it's not a pattern that I have revisited, which is a real shame because I think this pattern could have had huge potential. It would have been a really lovely co-ord set. So some of it is what suits my body type and some of it is the pattern itself. But the fit on it was so bad and needed so many adaptations to it, I just wasn't prepared to put the time into it. So I'd say that this is my biggest disaster. But one of the things that I absolutely learned from doing this was watching other vloggers talk about it, because there was quite an upheaval in the community about it. And a lot of people talked about how they got the fit right. Now, what I learned from this particular disaster that I made was watching another vlogger, Angela from Devon Threadtails, and I have talked about this in other vlogs, is that she ended up doing a bit of size grading to get it to fit her right across the upper bust and shoulder area. And I have now made those changes and applied them to other favourite Tilly and the Buttons patterns that I have. And I have found it has made the world of difference in the way that things fit me. So Tilly's top bodice, for example, doesn't fit me at all. But whereas her trouser bodice fits me really well. And those Esti trousers are another example of ones that do fit me quite well. I just need to make a slight adjustment to the rise in them. But other than that, the actual trousers fit me perfectly, but the top is the bit that's the disaster area. So that's the first real sort of bad experience that I've ever had with a Tilly pattern, but it's also a real first thing that I've ever made that I've kind of gone, that isn't going to work. The other thing that didn't turn out well at all for me, and I'm going to see if I can find a picture of this, and this is a McCall's pattern that I made, and I made it in this beautiful rainbow fabric that I got from Rainbow Fabrics. It's, I think, a Next dead stock fabric, and it just didn't work. The button band, although I watched lots of reviews, I couldn't get it to ease in, it wouldn't fit. I tried to make adjustments to it, and it just turned out as a bit of a disaster. And in the end, this particular make went in the bin. It was one of those things that I was like, I'm not wasting my time with the fitting on this anymore, and went in the bin. So that was another make that I would say was pretty much a disaster in 2023. But I've learned lots of lessons this year, and I've been playing with my style a little bit. And I think going through the year itself, I have adapted and changed and experimented a little bit more with certain styles. And some of that comes from the influence of some of my fabulous sewing social friends. So I've attended a lot of sewing socials and social events throughout the year. This year I've been to a lot of the creative craft shows, the Festival of Quilts. I still haven't made it to a knitting and stitching show, and that is on my bucket list for next year. But I have done a lot of things, and I think to talk about all of my sewing makes, I also need to talk about some of these events. I have met some absolutely fabulous people that not only follow me here on YouTube, but also people that I follow and that I admire in the sewing world. And I have a absolutely amazing friendship as a result of this sewing community. Now, I never would have met Adele if I hadn't have been sewing, but she certainly would have been a friend if it wasn't sewing related. And that friendship has really formed across the year, and I can't imagine her not being in my life now. In fact, I've had a few weeks off from her, and I finally spent some time with her today, and it was exactly what I needed. So I'm also going to pop a little clip in as we end this vlog of all of the people that I have met and the fantastic things that I have been part of this year. So I'm just going to take a moment to say thank you very much for watching this. I hope you all have a happy new year and 2024 brings you all the things that you want it to. I also want to say don't forget to give this vlog a like and hit that subscribe button if you don't already. Enjoy the next couple of minutes of all of the events that I've been in. Take care. Bye.